Hi friends, in this session I am going to show how RabbitMQ handles errors or exceptions. In previous session I have showed how to handle exceptions at application level by using service activator with the error channel name or by using global error channel, so that it will be same for all the channels, all input exchanges. So now I am going to comment this. So by default RabbitMQ handles errors in 4 ways. The first one is drop the failed message. By default, if you are not adding any extra configuration, after retrials it will drop the message from the existing queue. Example, if I am going to publish some error message to my exchange, by default RabbitMQ retrial is 3 times. Spring Cloud provides 3 times retrial. Once that 3 times are done, that message will be removed from the queue. Let me start my server and show the demo of that. So my application is started. So my input exchange name is sample. So I am going to publish message and routing key test I am giving. So I have not added any extra exception handling in my application. So whatever RabbitMQ provides is what we are going to see. If I go to console, see, it was same listener is called 3 times. As the retry template has 3 times retrial, it called 3 times. After that the message is removed from the queue. If I go to my RabbitMQ queue, that message will be removed. See, the message is now removed. After 3 retrievals the message is removed. This is dropping the failed message. Second one is by configuring dead letter queue. When you configure dead letter queue, it creates one exchange and queue. Whatever the failed messages, it will publish to that dead letter exchange. So now I am going to in application.properties. This time I am using my input exchange name is sample1 and my group name is my group, and we are not handling any exceptions from application, so I am just commenting this property. So Spring Cloud has a property called Spring Cloud streaming dot RabbitMQ dot bindings dot. Because my channel name is input, I have to use input dot consumer dot autobind DLQ to true. So when I say autobind DLQ true, it automatically creates one exchange name DLX and it configure one queue with that. So I am going to set that property spring dot cloud dot stream dot rabbit, because we are using RabbitMQ, so we have to use rabbit dot bindings, and my channel name is input dot consumer. We have consumer produce, so we are going to use consumer dot autobind DLQ true, q equal to true. By default it is false, so it will not add any DLQs to us. So now I am going to restart my server. So my server is restarted. If I come to my RabbitMQ exchange, I can see one new exchange called DLX is created and it is configured to one DLQ. So it will be same as my destination name, then group name dot DLQ, and the routing key is sample1 dot my group. So it uses our destination name and group name as our routing key. So now what I am going to do, I am going to publish one message to my exchange. So I am giving test DLQ as my header. So when I publish this message, So in my group, first I got one message is delivered, and if you come to console, still the same retry logic. Once that is done, it will publish the message to RabbitMQ. So we have not added any extra exception handler in application, but still if I go to my queue, which is called dead letter queue, I can see that messages are published. If I get those messages, I have published twice, so we got 2 messages. If we go and see, it has except value, header and count value. And in the payload, whatever the message we have sent, we will be getting the same payload in the DLQ payload. And if we see the depth queue, reason why it came here is because of rejected. It is configured on sample 1 exchange. So here we are not getting any details of our exception. See, in my code I was throwing runtime exception. If you see, whenever I receive message, after printing the payload and headers, I was just throwing the exception. But in the DLQ I am not getting any details of my exception. If you want that, we can set extra one parameter in the RabbitMQ, like republish to DLQ. When you set consumer dot republish to DLQ, it will publish the error messages to this DLQ with extra headers. So now I am going to set that. I will first purge these messages so that we will not get confused. I have closed. So now I am coming to RabbitMQ and application.properties. I am going to add, this is common till here, consumer dot republish to DLQ, republish to DLQ to true. So we are saying you publish all the exception message to DLQ. So now I am going to restart my server. Now my application is ready. I will go to my exchange and I will publish one message. So it is, I will copy the employee payload JSON data and I am giving text one. When I publish, if I come to queue, it's not a tell. It will be doing 3 times retries and then it will be publishing to the DLQ. Because it is publishing the message, we are able to see created new connection RabbitMQ publisher message in the logger. So when I come to my DLQ, I have one message. If I get that message, I will be having my exception details also. See, we got one more exception details. Exception hyphen message is having my entire exception details, like handle employee to, we are throwing runtime error occurred, whatever the, from code, whatever the exception we are throwing, it's giving the details. And in the payload it will be the same. Whatever the payload we have received from the listener, we are getting the same payload. Apart from that, we are getting exception stack trace and exception message. As we have added republish to DLQ true. This is handling exceptions using dead letter queue. Instead of exception, we have third way is requeue the failed messages. Instead of sending to another exchange, what we can do, same message we can repeatedly publish to the handler, and we can try to consume and see whether we are able to resolve that exception. So for that, I can use max attempts of the consumer. I'll put it 1 and requeue rejected to true. I'm saying don't reject the message. We are not dropping the message, we are keep on trying the same message. So till here it is same, so I'm using consumer dot max attempts. I'm giving it is 1. And I am saying requeue reject equals to false. Hyphen reject equal to false. So we are not going to reject the message, so it will be keep on trying. If you are not handled properly, it will throw infinite loop. The message will be keep on looping. I'll just show you that. I'll restart my server. Meanwhile, I'll go to my exchange. I'm going to publish one message. The message is published in the queue. It will not be dropped, it will be same. But if you come to your stream listeners, it will be keep on trying the same message until you throw AMQ reject requeue exception. I think I have given spelling mistake, that's why after 3 times it didn't it stopped. Rejected, okay, only rejected, requeue rejected. Let me restart. So I'll come to my RabbitMQ. Sample 1. I'm going to publish one message. Some routing key. For me it was not working because max attempts is part of stream bindings, it's not part of RabbitMQ. So it is spring cloud stream dot input dot consumer dot max attempts equal to 1. So we are saying don't do any retrial, only try message only one time, and requeue reject should be true. It's by default it is false, we have to make it true so that it will be continuously checking until if you throw from your application like AMQP reject and do not requeue the exception, when you throw it will stop. Till that time it will be keep on looping the same messages. So let me restart my server. And I'll go to my exchange. I'll try to publish infinite loop. So it's part of sample1 my group. If I come and logs and see, we are getting infinite loops. It will not stop. It will keep on sending the same message to my handler, my queue, and it will come to handler. It will again retry. So in the application you have to handle that properly, how to consume that message. So now I am going to stop this. So what I am going to do, just for the demo purpose, I will add one integer variable. When the count reaches 3, I will throw that exception. So every time I will increase that I. If maybe I will use 5. If I equal to 5, after trying 5 times, if you are still getting the exception, I will just throw new AMQP reject and do not rethrow. AMQP reject and do not requeue the exception with string message unable to process. This will be down. So now I am going to restart my application. So I'll try to publish one message. I'm giving routing key as a test. So according to this, it has to try only 5 times. Once the count is 5, it should stop the message instead of doing infinite loop. So I'm going to publish. See, so after 5 retrievals, when we throw AMQP reject and do not requeue exception, it stopped. Otherwise it was doing infinite loop. So the fourth way of handling system level errors is by using retry logic. So the time max random by default is 3. So I am going to comment these properties. Spring by default has a Spring retry depend library that will be having how many max attempts, number of attempts to process the same message. By default it is 3. And backup init interval, how much time you want to wait and try the retrial. By default it is 1000 milliseconds. And max interval also 10,000 milliseconds. And backup multiplier is by default it is 2. In case if you want to override this behavior, we can create a Spring retry template and we can use that. So in case if I want to use that retry logic, I am going to comment this. So what I can do, instead of creating a bean, I can use @stream retry template. It internally having a bean annotation with it. So it automatically creates bean and configure with Spring Cloud Stream. So I'm going to create my own retry template, public retry template, my retry template. So and instead of using @bean, I am using stream retry template, so that Spring Cloud Stream automatically take care of this retry template initialization, all those things. So I am going to create the bean. new retry bin. So it has so many setter methods. We can change that retry functionality. So example, if you go retry dot set, we can set the policy. Whether how many times you want to run that retry policy, or I can set backup period, how much time I want to wait in between, or if you want to add any listener, we can add the listener. So maybe I will set backup policy. So we have fixed backup policy equal to new fixed backup policy. And policy dot set backup period. By default it is 1000 milliseconds, means it is 1 second. So I am going to give 5 seconds. It's a long value, so I am going to set, and we are going to set this policy, backup policy, to Spring Retry. Similarly, if I want to change the policy, simple retry policy, as policy equal to new retry policy, new simple retry. Set max items, how many times you want to try. So I am going to give 2 times. So I am going to set that to my retry bin. Retry dot set retry policies. So now I am saying only retry 2 times and with the delay of 5 seconds. So let me restart my application and see. So my application is started. We are getting cannot be cached to Spring Framework retry backup. It's saying class cached exception. So when I restarted, it started working. So let me go to my Exchange and publish a message. Retry. If I come to RabbitMQ, my console, it should try only 2 times. Yeah, we got only 2 retry. Simple retry policy we have set to max items 2, so we are able to retry only twice, and it should be having the delay of 5 seconds. This is how RabbitMQ does system level error handling. Thank you friends. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel.